good morning, everybody out there. Good morning, Pastor Jeff Waterman.
Good morning, Andy. How are you today?
Fantastic. I got outside yesterday, went for a nice walk through Kensington Park, and it was so good. Chelsea and I both, my wife, for those who are out there listening, we just enjoyed that sunshine. It was so good.
It's amazing what a couple of days of sunshine will do to your spirit, isn't it? It's like, wow. Yeah, this is cool.
Absolutely.
Everybody's in a better mood. Everybody's happier.
For sure. In fact, it was just a couple days ago, I made a post on Facebook about this. I opened up the blinds in the morning, pitch black, no big deal. Like, okay, whatever. So yesterday, or the day before, whatever it was, I opened up the blinds. I'm like, whoa, just blasted in the face by sun.
Last night, I was on a Zoom call, and it was later in the evening, and the sun came down. I said, I have to put the blinds down because I literally can't see right now. So it's that means spring is here. Spring forward, spring training baseball is going on. Mm-hmm. There's no more snow on the ground, although we might get some this weekend. But that'll just be a blip in the system. And I think our lake is liquid. I saw ducks swimming across the lake today. I'm like,
right.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Time to get the pontoon boat out.
Hey, there we go. That's fantastic. Yeah, I dug out some of my coverings of my strawberry little plantation at home, and they're starting to come up. They survived the winter, in other words, which is great.
Perfect. Yeah.
So here we are, overflowing from our previous Sunday's sermon. This past Sunday, it was March 8th of, the year of our Lord, 2026.
Yeah, the great day of spring forward.
That was the day. Absolutely. And so we were hanging out in our Kingdom Picks sermon series, the pictures of the kingdom, right? So the kingdom of heaven is like, and then we kind of dive into this parable. So this past Sunday, it was the parable of the vineyard, right?
Yeah, the laborers in the vineyard.
I'm on the wrong page. Yeah, the laborers in the vineyard is the exact title right there from Matthew 20. Incredible parable, yet it kind of itches us in a weird, it's like this weird thing that it kind of gets out of us.
Yeah, I think it's one of those it's pretty easy to identify with the, almost everybody you talk to about this, they identify with the workers that were hired first.
Yeah, yes, right.
Most everybody does.
Yeah.
Well, we got to realize that right now there's a whole lot of people that were hired way before us,
Yeah, I often think of them as, the apostles, right? They were the first hirees, right? And then maybe we're getting closer to that, the 11th hour.
Yeah, hopefully it's 5 o'clock and not like 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly. Yeah, so go ahead, Jeff. We want to give us a little synopsis of what we were talking about on Sunday. Jesus using this parable to pose 3 different questions that we must wrestle with.
Yeah, I think the title was Generous Kingdom, and that comes out of the line that right at the end where the landowner, right, he goes out and he hires all these different groups of people, and he pays them all the same. The people that worked 12 hours in his fields paid them the same as the guys that worked 1 hour. So the guys that worked 11 hours were not real happy.
Yep.
And he says, so are you happy that I'm generous? Or are you,
Right.
And so the idea is that we're this kingdom that we are part of, this heavenly kingdom, is a very generous kingdom. And the first question that we've got to ask when we think about generosity is, so what is what's the economy, or what is that, I guess, pay, or the currency, if you will, of the kingdom, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we think it's merit. Like, I worked 12 hours. I deserve more than the guy that worked an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he started working in the cool of the day, and I had to go through the scorching heat, the sweat of my brow, and the toil of my hands for this much time. Shouldn't I be blessed? And that's the whole comparison thing there, is like, we see people, if we're going to bring this to today's culture, being blessed left and right, whether they're Christians or not. And sometimes there's like this, oh God, either what have I done wrong to deserve this kind of situation I'm in right now, or what can I do, or what didn't I do to be able to achieve or to receive what they're receiving?
Right. What more do I have to do to get God to release His resources? I think people have no problem understanding that God's resources are unlimited. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I think where people struggle is, well, if they're unlimited, why don't you throw some unlimited my way? Right. I seem pretty limited right now.
That seems like a fair question. Fair. I'm saying that on purpose as well. A fair question to ask. Yeah.
So I think that it really, we think of the kingdom often through the lenses of material blessing, of material goods, where God's currency is radically different.
Yeah. Yeah. And he bless you. Yeah. So even though we would say that something might be fair or unfair, he is a just God. He is a generous God, but he is also a wise and loving God who gives to those what is best for them. And so what we may, on our side of eternity, what we may view as like, oh man, I think that I deserve this, or I should receive this, or it would be a blessing for me to receive such and such X, Y, and Z. God might say, it's actually, I know what you're going to do with that money or that thing.
Yeah, before this, we were talking at staff about, do we treat God like a vending machine?
Yeah.
Right. We put whatever we think is the currency in, whether it's here's our work, or here's my prayer, or here's my tithe, or whatever we think it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, I read the whole Bible, not in a year, in 8 months. I'm a better than everybody else, or whatever, and then we can tell God, well, this is what we want out, like a vending machine.
Uh-huh.
What if we just lived our life and let the vending machine give us what it felt we needed,
Yeah.
Like when I go to a vending machine and there's all kinds of stuff, I look at the Reese's peanut butter cups and I look at that. Imagine at the bottom if there was like broccoli.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
No one would pick the broccoli.
So the issue with that is, if you can see what's all available and you go to choose a Reese's and it's like, nah, actually it's better for you to have the broccoli, that's where the issue comes in. But if it's just this black wall and you put in your money or your whatever it is, right, your obedience perhaps, and then it just gives you broccoli without knowing what else it could have been, that might feel a little bit better.
It would feel better. It's when you look around and you go, but that guy's got this and that girl's got that, and man, I wish I could have a brand new car this year. I wish I could have a brand new ski boat, or I wish I could go on that vacation or whatever. Yeah. And then God's holding back from me because they get to do it.
Right. Yeah, so here's the thing, and I love the phrase that you said, comparison turns blessing into bitterness. And so you're receiving broccoli when somebody else might go, man, I really wish I had some broccoli.
Right, because we all know in the economy of health, if what you eat is a Reese's, broccoli is going to be better for you long term. It doesn't taste as good.
Right.
Well, some people might go, I don't like Reese's. You get my point. Like the treat always tastes better than the have-tos.
Yeah. Right. And so what we're saying is, in a sense, the blessing, the way that you value it is somewhat subjective as well. It's relative, in other words, where what I was kind of getting to is in another third world country or so on, they go, man, we just want clean water.
Right.
And we're upset that we don't have pop or soda. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or seltzer water.
Or the
purest.
The flavor of
Yes.
soda. Like my grandkids will open up our little beverage thing and say, do you have root beer? We're out of root beer. There's nothing to drink. Well, there's a whole thing full of it.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to drink orange instead of root beer?
Right.
Or you're going to have to drink flat water instead of sparkling water. I mean, like, come on, people. Like, You're right. In other countries, the fact that I can pick this cup up and drink water out of it is foreign to them.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a really nice mug that says The Well on it, and it's not something I made just before this out of clay.
Right.
Right.
Like this, right? So, it's just hard. And in the economy, I love the phrase, I think we talked about it on Sunday. He ends with, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And we kind of think of this as positional. But what I see this is that the kingdom is upside down from what we tend to think. We think that the kingdom is all about I do, I get. I do, I earn. My merit requires this person to pay or to give a certain whatever.
Yeah.
And God's kingdom is not ordered that way. God's kingdom is he will bless who he blesses.
Yeah.
He is going to do with his kingdom resources what he feels is best. Mm-hmm. God works all things out for the good for those who believe and trust in him, not for the wants of those who believe and trust in him. It's a very different statement. So sometimes we take our economy, our currency to the kingdom, and God's saying, that's not it. It's really upside down from that.
Yep. Jesus came, and it seemed like he did that with every form of currency and economy. And he did that with the Pharisees, and he did that with, oh, you have heard this say, or you have read this, but I tell you, and even though it might be you're being, even though you haven't murdered somebody physically, if the anger and murder is in your heart, it's the same. And he's always getting to that deeper next level of it. Unfortunately, as humans, humanely, that's all we've really ever grown up and been taught is like, hey, yeah, if you're a good boy, then you get to play the video game or whatever it is.
For sure. You're right. If you get the good grades, you get to do what you
Get
want.
the car.
You do bad, we're going to ground you. We're going to take something away from you. So that's how we operate all through life. And we just apply that to God. And God goes, yeah, it's not the way it works.
Yeah, quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, boy, we've heard that before.
Yeah, but that's what our world is founded on. And thank God that the spiritual world is unlike that. It's opposed.
And we often, I love this, the workers, right? They go, this isn't fair. And pretty much every commentator would say this. The last thing we want is God to be fair.
Yeah.
Because if he's fair, none of us are getting in.
Right.
So we love the fact, on one hand, that God isn't fair.
Yeah. To us.
Right. It doesn't give us what we deserve. Instead, he gives us what we don't deserve.
Right.
And but then when it's, well, that person, what we think got more than us.
Yep.
But really, everybody got the same.
Right.
Everybody got a denarius.
Yep. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity?
Right.
That's what that landowner says. And this whole parable of a vineyard, by the way, it's the idea of the landowner being God and God's people, the kingdom being the vineyard, is a story that is told throughout the entire Bible. I've got a couple verses here where John 15:1, Jesus himself says, I am the true vine. My Father is the vine dresser, right? And by the way, you are the branches, right? So what does the vine dresser do? The vine dresser is the one who prunes and cares for the branches, right? Jesus being the vine is the one that guides and shapes where the fruit is going to be growing and producing. Also, of course, Jesus talks about the harvest being plentiful, but we need more workers to do this work here. So we're looking for workers. We're inviting them into the vineyard to do the work. And one of the older examples is from the Old Testament. So those were from the New Testament just then. Old Testament, Isaiah 5:7, the title of that particular Isaiah 5 is called the Song of the Vineyard. It talks about God who is addressing the people of Israel as the vineyard. And literally at Isaiah 5:7, it says, the vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel and the people of Judah who are the vines he delighted in. It's very clear, like who's the vineyard, who's the vine, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Jesus would be tapping into all of that imagery that these guys would have been grown up with, right? Because if we look back into 19, that this all comes on the heels of a conversation with a rich man, right? That says, what do I got to do to inherit the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus gives him the don't murder, don't commit adultery. He says, I've done that. He says, okay, now go sell everything you got. And he went away
to
sad,
be perfect.
right?
Yeah.
He go sell it all. And then the disciples were kind of freaking out about this.
Peter says, hey, well, we left mother and brother, and look what we did. Now, what are we going to get in the kingdom?
Yeah, we're going to get, right? And he utters that famous line, it's easier for camel to make it through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Because we think we bring something to it, and we don't realize that we are just a branch on the vine. And that our job is to receive from the vine what the vine is going to give us for the purpose of bearing fruit. Could you imagine being a winery?
Okay.
And you plant all of these vines,
grapes,
right? These grape plants, and they grow, and it starts to produce fruit, and you get peaches.
Yeah, that'd be odd.
You're like, a peach wine? I'm not making peach wine. Right. So that would be a wreck. You would expect that vine that you plant, I want this kind of grape. You're hoping to get that kind of grape. So, God is saying, I'm the vine. This is my vineyard. I have purpose. I have goals. I have desires. I have a way of operating. And your job is to operate and produce that kind of fruit.
Yeah, it is so fitting that you just gave that analogy about planting a certain plant and then receiving something different than you expect. That is exactly what God says in Isaiah 5, by the way. He says, I'm planting these vines and they're producing, it only produces bad fruit.
Right.
So I'm going to remove the hedges from it. And that's literally what he's doing through Jesus here, as he removes the Pharisees and the hedges around the people of Israel, and then opens up the whole vineyard to the rest of the world, all of us, by the way, the Gentiles and so on, to be able to then enter into his kingdom.
And then in John 15, Jesus grabs that same imagery and says the vines or the branches that don't produce fruit, they cut off and get burned. Right?
Yeah.
So, this imagery of vineyard, vine dresser to help us understand the kingdom is very prevalent all throughout Scripture.
Absolutely. So what can we do being humans, and we're dealing with this comparison, and the proverb is comparison is the thief of joy, right? And hope deferred makes the heart grow sick, and all these things like that. So what can we do as humans practically to shift that mindset?
Yeah, I know you've got a list of stuff, and where my brain goes honestly is to the Lord's Prayer, what we call the Lord's Prayer, right? And he teaches his disciples how to pray. Where does he start?
Our Father who art in heaven,
holy is your name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. Right? I mean, that's how it starts. And I think there's a centering that we have to go through. I think the reason Jesus starts there, and I think if we start there, is like, wait a minute, let's look at the ramifications of what we just said. Our Father in heaven. Wait a minute, let's start with our Father.
Yeah.
And our reflection was, I'm a child of God.
Yes.
Right? Like, all the people opened their folders, said, I'm a child of God. So we have to understand who's God, who's not, who's the Father, who's the kid, and the blessing that we even get to call him Father.
Right.
If we go back to the Old Testament and we look at what the Israelites had to do to interact with God, oh my word.
Right.
And we get to, hey, Dad.
Yep.
I mean, what an amazing blessing it is to know that the God of heaven views me as his child, not as an object, not as a subject, not as a cog in the wheel, but as his child.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds incredibly basic, but if we just every day we start there, and then every time we're up against it, someone's a jerk to us, or we're having a struggle of a day, we're stressed out about something. Man, you just start there and you go, hey, Dad. All of a sudden, you're appealing to something that's way bigger than whatever it is you're facing.
Immeasurably.
Right? And so now all of a sudden, there's a calm, there's a peace that comes over, like, okay, he's not going to, nothing that happens here is going to change. Hey, Dad.
Right. Right. God. Yeah. Almighty. You know what it takes to get there? Just the littlest bit of humility. Like, I am recognizing my place, my identity, and ultimately I'm not the one in control. I'm going to go to the one who is sovereign, in control, with all the power to actually do anything about anything that I'm dealing with. I'm going to submit myself to that lordship, to that Father in heaven. You are holy. Holy is your name, and that's right placement right there.
Yeah, in the we talked a little bit about this, but in the parable, the people the workers that got upset because they only got a denarius for their whole day's work, which is what they agreed to, by the way.
Yeah.
What they did is they lost sight of what they had.
Yep.
Right? They lost sight of, for this day, for this period of time, they didn't have to worry about how am I going to make money. They didn't have to worry about, will I have money to support my family? Will I have money to eat? Will I have the resources? They didn't have to worry about that. On top of it, they got the privilege of earning that. And I do say privilege because I think if you look at studies across the board, when we pay people not to work, I had a friend of mine, his name was Marino. He was from the Dominican Republic. He came up, and the first time he was in the U.S., he came here. This is back in the 80s. And he'd been in for about 10 days, getting ready to go back. And we said to him, all right, what do you think of the United States? What is your impression? And he says, I'm a bit puzzled. I said, what are you puzzled about? What are you confused about? He said that you would pay people not to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was referring to, the welfare culture that tends to be around. And then we said, oh, yeah. And he says, and one other thing, that someone would think so little of themselves to take it.
Mm.
And I think there's this privilege we have where we can go out and, God made us in Genesis 1 and 2. He made us to work. He made us to go out and to earn a living, to earn what we have and participate in his kingdom expansion here on earth. And when we don't do that, we miss out on a privilege. Paul says, I become all things to all people so that by all possible means I might win some and share in the blessing of the gospel. Mm-hmm. They had this blessing of not just receiving the money to provide for their family, but they had the blessing of being part of that with the landowner.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got two nasty 4-letter words, and the first one is work, but that comes before the fall. Toil is the other one, and that's where the shift happens, right? The work was a good thing. The toil is by the sweat of your brow. Right. That's the hard one. So yeah, that's being a co-laborer with Christ is what we're all called to do and to be.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when we lose that humility and lose that idea that God is our Father, that he's our dad, that we cry out, Abba, Father, Daddy, Father, that we lose sight of the blessing we already have that trumps everything else.
Yeah. So coming at him with this right perspective, having this submission to his authority, saying your will be done, is all of this is okay. I agree with you. The Lord's Prayer, working through that when you're going through any sort of a situation where you're all of a sudden you got this thing. Oh shoot, I've got a heart posture check where I'm starting to feel envious or covetousness or whatever and that's a great place to go is the Lord's Prayer. Some other ones, it's literally. They're all in line of the same thing right there. So practicing gratitude. Hey, there you go. Write down some things that God has already done in your life. Bring to remembrance. It's easy to be taken away from. Distractions happen all the time. And that's pretty much it, right? When you're looking at something else, you're being distracted. That's why he says, set your mind on things above and not on things of the world, right? Run the race that is set before you with your eyes set on Christ, right? So yeah, it's easy to get distracted. Go ahead and practice gratitude. Practice. That means you're intentionally disciplined, you're working at this thing. Here's another one. Remembering that God's blessings are not a limited resource.
Right, yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
No, go ahead. It was on your list. You put it on the list.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's the thing, though. So, man, it's easy, humanely, right? Humanistically, if I can coin that word, to look at somebody else being blessed by something and going, oh, now I'm not able to receive that, or now I can't get that. But God doesn't work that way. He has unlimited storehouses of blessings that are available and perfect and for each person. And there's no reason why if he gives $10 to somebody else that he can't give $10 to you too.
Right. And we tend to go down the road of blessing as like $10 to $10. But I think what this is teaching us, if I may, is that's not the blessing. The blessing wasn't the denarius.
Keep going.
The blessing was the fact that they were in close relationship with the landowner, close relationship. And that's why I always go back to the Lord's Prayer. You can turn that into a gratitude prayer. God, thank you that you're my dad. Mm-hmm. God, thank you that you are the king.
Yeah.
God, thank you that you provide for me my daily bread.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the resources, the blessing that we have is no matter how wealthy or how poor you are, no matter how materially fortunate you are, the blessing is that we are in close relationship with our Father, who is the ultimate landowner, because he owns everything.
Right, yeah. And what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, what no mind has imagined is what is in store for each of us who finish well that race. Very good. Paul wrote in Romans 12, rejoice with those who are rejoicing and also weep with those who are weeping. There's this kind of like sobering mindset where you don't need to be so covetous about envious, I could say, about whatever somebody else has received or a blessing that's happened in their lives or a healing that has occurred. Rejoice with those people, celebrate with those people. My goodness, right? And at the same time, though, have the mindset be like, if somebody else is weeping, this breeds is empathy. It breeds compassion. It breeds unity and community.
Yeah. Have you ever had a blessing, or you've ever experienced something awesome in your life, and you're like, you felt bad about sharing it with people because it might make them feel bad?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that weird? Like,
Yeah.
can't we like all celebrate together? Like, you guys, guess what? This just happened to me the other day, and man, it's so cool. And everybody else go, that is so cool.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But half the time people go,
Yeah.
why does it happen to me? It must be nice that you get to go do this. And you go,
Right.
right? And then you have to explain, and you have to justify, and you have to do all this
I
stuff.
worked really hard for this over here. I did this over here for this.
And rather than people just go, man, that is so awesome. I'm so
Exactly.
glad you're. And that to me is the ultimate state of understanding who I am in Christ. And I will tell, I don't want to sit here and make everybody think that I do that. That's how I operate. Because there's a lot of times where, quite frankly, I hear somebody will do something and I go, why couldn't it happen to me? In my heart, now it might not necessarily come out of my mouth, but in my heart, I'm going, oh, that's so really nice. You know?
Yeah.
Why didn't it happen to me?
Yeah, you know what that sounds like, and I'm not saying that sounds for you, but what that is bitterness. That's what that.
That's what comparison does, right? It breeds
Right.
bitterness.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about that too. Here's another one. So another tactic, in other words, right? Staying focused on your calling. God has called each of us to be a pastor of the flock that he has given us, and to do well with the talents that he's given each of us, to steward those well. And it's not to steward the talents and giftings that somebody else has.
Right.
So you can stay focused on your calling, and God, it's let your will be done in my life,
Right.
and not, God, why are you doing this in their life?
Right.
Yeah. So
And not my will in my life.
yeah, or my will for their life. Exactly.
And Peter calls it a priesthood of believers, right? That he's created. You mentioned the word pastor's flock.
Yeah.
That we're all a priesthood of believers. We're all leading others, whether we like to believe it or not. As soon as we say we are Christ followers, or we're Christians, all of a sudden, guess who we're aligning ourselves with is Christ, and we're leading people in their picture of who Christ is, and by the way we operate.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about, be true to your calling, what part of the kingdom, what part of the God's economy is God calling you to do, and go do that, because you have every right to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So going back to that bitterness part, bitterness is poisonous to you while the other person is probably still just enjoying their day. Right? Yeah. So like, are you going to give that person that kind of power over yourself to ruin your day or ruin your mindset, or, what if you hadn't gone on social media and looked at that person with the life that they're living in, the highlight reel of their life, by the way? It's not even the real life. It's just the highlight reel.
Yeah, the snapshot.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times they took to get that just perfect one and go, oh, that's the best one. Let me put it up. And you don't know what happened just before that or just after it.
Right.
You don't know.
Exactly.
All you know is like, for that moment, everybody's happy.
And they could have gone to that place 100 days out of the year, and it was raining every other day except for that one day. It's beautiful, sunshiny. I want to be in the beautiful sunshine. Right. Yeah. So bitterness is a toxic poison to you in your mind, and you don't need to let it take root, right? Do not let the root of bitterness take or to grow. And so what we're seeing is this celebration of what others have and received, rather than the bitterness about it. That's what replaces that competitive nature.
Right. And I love where you started with gratitude, right? The number one way that you can defeat this idea of comparison or competition or merit-based is gratitude. Just start, bless you, by the way, start with Thanksgiving. So at Family on Mission groups, after we're done eating, we start every Family on Mission group time with, so what are you thankful for? And we carve time out. And I will tell you, for people, it's hard. Thanksgiving is hard because we feel like if I'm thankful for something or whatever, that there's a little bit of bragging, look at me. But no, if we do it right, we're saying, look at him.
Yeah.
And even little things like, man, I'm thankful for another day with my grandkids. I'm thankful for the sunshine outside. I'm thankful that I can breathe today. I'm thankful for the water in my cup.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. No, it's great. So there's actually some neurological studies out there that literally prove that when you are exercising gratitude, then the chemical parts in your brain that are exercising bitterness, they cannot function at the same time. And so you're literally like going to war against those feelings when you practice some gratitude. So let's wrap up here. It's been a great time talking about the generous kingdom, about the parable of the laborers in the vineyard. Guys, we have some more parables coming your way. In fact, on this coming Sunday, which is going to be March 15th, we have a prepared kingdom.
The wedding virgins.
Yeah, the 10 virgins.
10 virgins with oil lamps.
Yeah, and some of them ran out of oil in their lamps or fell asleep.
And ran out of oil.
Yeah, exactly. Not good, guys. So we'll be talking about that this coming Sunday. And once again, if you have any questions for us, we would love to hear them. If you would like to, we would love for you guys to like and subscribe, to share this out. There's a QR code that's going to pop up as soon as we sign off. And any last words from you, Pastor Jeff?
Hope to see you Sunday.
We'll see you on Sunday.
Easter's around the corner.
That's right. We are getting ready. Baptisms. We're going to be doing baptisms. So sign up. We would love to dunk you underwater.
There you go.
All right. Hey, have a good day, everybody.
Have a great day.